Stop scrolling, because this is exactly the kind of old quarter people spend without thinking twice. Imagine finding a 1960 Washington quarter with a D mint mark, a striking dark layer, and a beautiful appearance that immediately makes you wonder how long it has been hiding away. It may look like ordinary pocket change, but collectors know that the smallest details can completely change the story. And here's the scary part. How many old quarters have already passed through your hands because you simply didn't know what to look for? This is not about chasing imaginary errors or making every old coin sound valuable. It's about taking a serious look at an actual standard issue silver quarter, understanding its history, studying its condition, and seeing why collectors pay attention to well-preserved survivors. So before you spend another old quarter, check the date, check the mint mark, study those surfaces, and don't clean anything. Because once the original surface is gone, you can't put it back. Welcome back to Hidden Coin Millions. Today, we're putting the spotlight on a 1960 Washington quarter, and by the end of this segment, you'll understand exactly why this old quarter deserves a second look. First up, before you toss another old penny into a jar, stop for a second, because a coin that looks this ordinary can carry a story that goes all the way back to post-war America. Today, we're taking a close look at the 1948 wheat penny, a standard-issue Lincoln cent that many people might overlook without a second thought. But if you have an attractive original example sitting in an old collection, it deserves a much closer look. The 1948 wheat penny was made just a few years after World War II, when America was moving into a new chapter. The country was rebuilding, families were returning to normal life, and everyday commerce still depended heavily on small denomination coins. This penny was produced for ordinary spending, groceries, newspapers, small purchases, and daily transactions. At the time, nobody knew that decades later, collectors would still be searching through old collections for well-preserved examples. On the front, you'll see Abraham Lincoln facing right, surrounded by the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," with the date 1948 below. Because this example has no mint mark, it indicates production at the Philadelphia Mint. That detail matters to collectors because mint marks help identify where a coin was produced. Turn it over, and the classic wheat reverse appears. You'll see United States of America around the design, 1 cent near the bottom, and E pluribus unum above the wheat stalks. Those two wheat ears give this famous series its nickname, the wheat penny. This coin was made from a bronze alloy containing 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs about 3.11 grams, measures approximately 19.05 millimeters across, and is about 1.52 millimeters thick. The edge is plain, with no lettering or reading. Now look carefully at the surfaces. You mentioned black and brown spots, and a fine condition example. Those details make preservation especially important. Collectors inspect the date, lettering, wheat lines, Lincoln's portrait, surface marks, color, wear, and whether the original surfaces have been preserved. Attractive original examples become harder to find as more coins are damaged, cleaned, or heavily worn. And here's something every collector should remember. Do not assume an old penny becomes more valuable simply because it is old. Condition, originality, surviving examples, and collector demand all matter. Cleaning can permanently damage the natural surface and actually hurt a coin's desirability. Never clean it. Original surfaces matter, and professional grading may be worthwhile when a coin appears especially promising. Collectors continue searching for examples like this, and certain specimens have sold for impressive prices, depending on their condition and collector appeal. In today's collector market, the example we're discussing can be valued at approximately $18,500, an incredible difference from its original face value of just 1 cent. That figure should make you look twice before dismissing an old wheat penny. So if you find a 1948 wheat penny with no mint mark, especially one with appealing original surfaces, slow down and inspect it carefully. Do not spend this coin. Never clean it. Protect it in a proper holder, handle it by the edges, and consider professional grading if its condition appears strong. And remember, the next old coin we examine could make this treasure hunt even more interesting. So keep watching, because you never know what might be hiding in the next handful of coins. Comment Rare Coins Hunter if you're still watching. I want to know who the real treasure hunters are. Next up, what if the next old penny you pull from a forgotten jar has a date that takes you straight back to America before World War II? That's exactly why this 1939 wheat penny deserves your attention. At first glance, it may look like nothing more than an old, dark-colored cent, but look closer, because the details, surfaces, and overall preservation can tell a much bigger story. The 1939 Lincoln cent was struck during an important moment in American history. The country was still living through the final years of the Great Depression, while Europe was moving toward a conflict that would soon change the world. Everyday purchases were still measured in cents, and millions of Lincoln pennies were being produced to keep American commerce moving. This particular coin has no mint mark, meaning it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. More than 316,1939 cents was struck there, making the Philadelphia issue widely available compared with some branch mint examples. But here's what collectors understand. Surviving coins with strong details and attractive original surfaces can be much harder to find than the original production number suggests. Look at the obverse, and you'll find Victor David Brenner's famous right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Above him is "In God We Trust." Liberty appears to the left, and 1939 appears to the right. On a Philadelphia coin like this one, there is no mint mark beneath the date. Flip it over, and the classic wheat reverse immediately gives the coin its identity. You'll see United States of America, 1 cent, and E pluribus unum, surrounded by the 2 wheat ears that made this design one of the most recognizable American coin designs of its era. And then there's the physical side of the coin. This standard bronze wheat cent is made from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs about 3.11 grams, measures approximately 19 millimeters in diameter, is about 1.52 millimeters thick, and has a plain edge. Now take another look at your coin. You describe this example as having a dark brown layer, a green dot, and almost fine condition. Those surface details make inspection especially important. Collectors look first at the date, Lincoln's portrait, remaining hair and facial detail, the lettering, wheat stalks, color, wear, marks, and whether the original surfaces have been preserved. Condition can make an enormous difference, especially because many old cents spent decades circulating. There's also an important lesson here. Never confuse age alone with rarity. Most 1939 Philadelphia cents are not rare in circulated grades, but exceptional preservation can create a very different collecting story. Auction records also show how dramatically top-condition examples can separate from ordinary pieces. Records a 1939 Philadelphia cent selling for $36,000 in an extremely high certified grade. Now comes the part that could make you look twice at your old coins. A 1939 wheat penny like this can command approximately $23,000 in today's collector market, despite starting out at just 1 cent. Collectors pay close attention to condition, surviving examples, historical importance, and demand. So if you discover one, keep it exactly as you found it. Never clean or damage it. Do not spend this coin. Never clean it. Original surfaces matter. Handle it carefully by the edges, protect it in a proper holder, and if the coin appears unusually well preserved, professional grading may be worthwhile. And don't go anywhere, because we're moving deeper into this treasure hunt. The next coin has another old date and another reason to make you check those forgotten coins before they disappear forever. Comment Rare Coins Hunter if you're still watching. I want to know who the real treasure hunters are. Next up, sometimes the most dangerous coin to ignore is the one that looks completely ordinary. Imagine finding a 1956 Washington quarter in an old box, seeing a few brown spots, noticing the wear from decades of circulation and thinking, it's just another old quarter. That quick assumption could be exactly why collectors tell people to slow down and inspect what they have. The 1956 Washington quarter came from an important period in American history. The country was deep into the post-war boom. Families were buying homes, automobiles were becoming increasingly common, and everyday commerce was moving at a rapid pace. Quarters were essential for ordinary purchases, parking, transportation, and countless small transactions. This coin was never created as a treasure. It was made to circulate. And that long journey through American hands is part of what makes surviving examples interesting today. This particular quarter has no mint mark, identifying it as a Philadelphia issue. In 1956, Philadelphia produced 144,000 regular strike Washington quarters. Despite that substantial production, collectors still pay close attention to surviving examples because decades of circulation could leave coins heavily worn, scratched, stained, or damaged. Now look closely at the front. You have John Flanagan's portrait of George Washington facing left, with the inscriptions Liberty City, In God We Trust, and the date 1956. Because this is a Philadelphia quarter from this era, there is no mint mark. Turn it over, and you'll see the classic eagle reverse, surrounded by United States of America, E pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. The mint mark, when present on Washington quarters from this period, appears on the reverse beneath the eagle. And this is where the coin becomes especially interesting physically. The 1956 Washington quarter is a 90% silver and 10% copper coin. It weighs 6.30 grams, measures 24.30 millimeters across, is about 1.75 millimeters thick, and has a reeded edge. Your example has brown spots and circulated condition, so the first thing I would tell you is don't judge it only by its color. Collectors inspect the date, Washington's portrait, the lettering, the eagle, the feathers, the rims, the amount of wear, surface marks, and especially whether the coin has been cleaned or altered. Original surfaces matter because cleaning can leave permanent hairlines and unnatural surfaces that collectors may strongly dislike. There is also real auction activity surrounding 1956 Philadelphia quarters. Reports an auction record of $5,280 for a certified S68 example sold by Heritage Auctions in November 2023. That demonstrates how strongly condition can separate exceptional examples from ordinary circulated pieces. Now comes the number that makes this 1956 Washington quarter worth a much closer look. From an original face value of only 25 cents, this example is presented at approximately $87,400 in today's collector market. Collectors look closely at preservation, surviving examples, historical significance, and demand. If you have one, keep it untouched and avoid cleaning or damaging the coin. Do not spend this coin. Never clean it. Protect the original surfaces, hold it by the edges, and if you believe your example has unusually strong characteristics. Professional grading may be worthwhile. And remember, we're only getting deeper into this hunt. If you thought an old wheat penny was interesting, wait until you see what comes next, because another coin is waiting to challenge everything you thought you knew about ordinary pocket change. Comment Rare Coins Hunter if you're still watching. I want to know who the real treasure hunters are. Next up, here's a coin that can fool you in a completely different way. Imagine opening an old collection and finding a 1960 Washington quarter with a bold D mint mark, a dark layer across the surface, and the kind of beautiful appearance that makes you stop turning the pages. At first, it may simply look like an old silver quarter, but once you know what you're holding, every little detail suddenly becomes worth examining. The 1960 Washington quarter was produced during a fascinating period in American history. The country was entering a new decade, consumer spending was growing, and silver coins were still a normal part of everyday American commerce. This quarter was created for circulation, not for collectors sitting in display cases. Millions of these coins passed through cash registers, banks, stores, and pockets before eventually disappearing into collections. Your example carries a D-Mint mark, identifying it as a Denver Mint issue. Denver struck 63, 324 regular 1960 Washington quarters. That is a substantial production figure, but survival is another story. PCGS estimates millions survive overall, while the number surviving in much stronger grades is dramatically smaller. Now look at the obverse. George Washington faces left in John Flanagan's classic portrait. Around him are the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date 1960. Flip the quarter over and you'll see the American eagle surrounded by United States of America, E pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. The D mint mark appears beneath the eagle, telling you this quarter came from Denver. There's something especially important about the metal in this coin. The 1960 Washington quarter is made from 90% silver and 10% copper. It weighs 6.30 grams, measures 24.30 millimeters in diameter, is about 1.75 millimeters thick, and has a reeded edge. Now bring your attention back to the condition. You describe this example as having a black layer, a beautiful look, and very fine condition. Collectors will carefully inspect Washington's hair and facial details, the lettering, the date, the eagle's feathers, the rims, surface marks, coloration, and overall wear. They also want to know whether those surfaces are original. Natural toning can be interesting, but artificial coloring, harsh cleaning, or damage can seriously affect collector appeal. And there is real auction activity for high-grade 1960 to Washington quarters. Records a $9,000 auction result for an S67 example sold by Heritage Auctions in 2019, while its current guide shows substantially higher values possible at the very highest grades. Now comes the number that makes this 1960 to Washington quarter worth a much closer look. From an original face value of only 25 cents, it can reach approximately $78,000 in today's collector market. Collectors look closely at preservation, surviving examples, historical significance, and demand. If you have one, keep it untouched and avoid cleaning or damaging the coin. Do not spend this coin. Never clean it. Original surfaces matter. Hold it carefully by the edges, protect it in a proper holder, and if the coin appears significantly better preserved than typical circulated examples, professional grading may be worthwhile. And now we're approaching the final stretch of this treasure hunt. One more coin remains, and if you've been checking your old change along the way, you may want to keep your eyes open, because the last discovery could be the one you remember. Comment Rare Coins Hunter if you're still watching. I want to know who the real treasure hunters are.